Hello, welcome to week 5 vlog. So this week was it was a more informal sharing week than last time, I'd say, because we then had the actual performance a couple weeks away. So it wasn't as formal as it felt. We weren't being officially graded on these parts. So it was like, I've been referring to it as a baby sharing week because that's what it felt like. So it was also a little bit all over the place because it was a sharing week. So I apologise if this vlog is also all over the place. When aren't they? Okay. So, for singing this week, we finished like the vocal, everything as a whole, and we put together our group in the round. So the whole of our form, Group A, we put it together and staged it in the round. So it led into each other, because we thought it would be us walking on, but it's not. It's Group 1 is silent, and then us, and then things like that. So that's what we did. That's like what we did mainly in the lessons. What was effective as our group is we did a little bit of problem solving, because Sophie wasn't in that week, our second soprano. So not only did that mess with the even lines we had put out for the like blocking that we had done for it, for the whole chorus that we had, so we had to change the blocking to accommodate for it. So instead of like me and Max being in the middle, now Max in the middle. It's just got on a slight shift. So changed it so Max has his arms up, which is quite Christian, which, you know, going back to Stephen Schwartz. And although it's like not Greek god, it's still biblical, which is the whole Children of Eden thing. So then also after doing that, we did it so that I sang the original soprano harmony with Meg, so that she wasn't the only soprano singing it. So when we performed it, it didn't sound weird and lopsided. So I think it was really effective how quickly we could adapt to having Sophie not there, which I just think it's great. Like, well done for us that we managed to quickly overcome someone that was quite integral to our group. So when we shared it to everyone, the other group didn't share their singing. It was only Group A that did, so I couldn't compare or anything. But I feel like the transitions between we did really practice on it and made sure we warmed up, but the transitions between like Group 1 and Group 2, I feel were really smooth. Like, we made it and blocked it so that as they started singing Land and we slowly rose and turned, so it was like suddenly a snap of the audience's attention instead of just, oh, now they're over there, you know? So what can be improved on then is, what's our target in general, is to be able to make sure that with this new blocking we don't lose out on anything, because there's so much going on the stage, because everyone's on stage. We need to make sure that we're bigger than ever, you know. We don't over gesture too much, because that's some of the feedback we've gotten before, but making sure we keep our hands down within reason. We can still use them, but make all those expressions really big and really capture the audience for just that small section of the song we've got before it moves on to somewhere else. But then come in for the big finish. We learn the harmony for the last note again, and making sure we get that and make the finish strong, because it's a strong piece. Like, we've got a god up on a block and we're standing staring at him. Like, it's got a good finish, and we need to make sure that works with the harmonies, and we can do it. Woo. Then for dance, we obviously finished everything. We performed it in sharing week in costume. So I think it was just like a little thing, effective how quickly we got our costumes sorted. We had like 2 days to sort them, and we did. All of us were in the costume in the correct colours-ish. So I think that was just an effective thing as a performer. That's not the whole thing, but woo for us. We did, because it was snowing that week as well, we had a lot of gaps from people not being able to make it in for travel. So we had to, when we perform it, make space for them and like be aware that there's meant to be a lot more people here, but without it you know, bringing down our performance. So I think it's really effective that we managed to do that. We pulled it off. Like, it didn't look like there were any awkward gaps, or not too many at the least. I think that's something that really came like through this week, is that how we managed to adapt it to not having people there, which is really important, because obviously when you're on the stage and stuff like that, people can not be able to perform at any given moment, so you might have to adapt or pick up other parts. So I think it was real effective that we did that. An improvement I'd say that we can do, because when we performed it to them as a whole, we still got that lovely poignant finish because of the emotions that we put in. So what we need to do is making sure over the next couple weeks of rehearsal we don't lose that. Like, we still keep that poignant finish, and we make sure that we have the strong emotions that we know we've got in us. We can all act really well, so we need to make sure that those movements get conveyed and get properly done. Okay, so in acting this week, they did masks again. Lysistrata duologues got shared, which was really interesting to see how like a group who haven't seen our piece before respond to it. It was quite positive as well. It didn't feel embarrassing to share. Like, I thought I'd be like, oh no, I feel judged because I directed this whole thing, but it didn't feel embarrassing to share, which was great. I mean, it shouldn't do, but I don't know. So we did that, obviously. Also, the directors this week got, especially me and the way I directed it, the way I'd been doing it the whole time, is getting up and doing it, and that's just how my mind works. My mind works by seeing it. He suggested that we maybe try taking a seat out and sit down and like watch it from the audience's point of view, and then do it. Like, make sure it works in the round instead of being on stage looking from the audiences. And I feel like that was really helpful. Like, I really needed that. And I'm quite proud of myself for being able to just sit back, because that's really hard for me, and just make notes on my phone and then talk to my girls about it. I keep calling them that, but like, being able to be an effective director by doing this. So okay, so what was effective this week is, in acting, is the changes that it made from when I was sat down and seeing it. I felt like I could be a lot more effective as a director. I could put in an input more so as from a directing point of view instead of an acting point of view. So taking notes and then saying it to them and making sure, you know, they get the right feedback that they need. What our target is to take the audience feedback that we got from sharing it. So it wasn't necessarily, like, when we shared it, it wasn't really, like, we didn't get any feedback from them directly, but we did get, like, when they laughed and stuff like that. So making sure, because, like, I found in points that bits where they were meant to laugh, they weren't laughing, and it was, some of the bits were, like, movements were a little bit awkward or clunky, so then adapting to that so it doesn't feel that way when you watch it from an audience's point of view with an audience live feeding back there. So that's my target for the next couple of weeks. And then in Taiko we did Rosie was has gone on long-term sick, so we needed to she gave Max and Seb leadership. So what I for Taiko, I said Taiko. So what I noticed was that we worked really well as an ensemble. Like, when you think about us all being in a room without like a lecturer or an adult there, it was scary, but I think it was really good how we could get through it all and all help each other out for like bits that we didn't understand and bits that we needed help on, and making sure we can still do the work as an ensemble. However, leading on from that, I'd say what needs to be worked on is the fact that we didn't take the leadership. So I know especially Max got really frustrated because people weren't listening to him. So I think whilst it's important to work as an ensemble and all help each other, it's important to let someone else take the lead, and someone who knows it better than we do it, and like be able to listen to someone. So that's my personal target for the next couple of weeks, is to be able to take a backseat a little bit when someone I know is leading. And then, yeah, just did some stage manager work for Unit 7. I wanted to quickly do a little bit of peer assessment for the other groups. They did monologues. They shared some of the monologues from Antigone, I think, yeah. I wanted to talk about Essie really quickly. She was doing a monologue for Antigone in response to Creon, I think saying he was going to kill her or about to kill her or being called to trial. I'm not familiar with the play. But I wanted to speak about how, just talk about her performance for a little bit. It was lovely, for starters. She delivered the monologue really well. Her diction and her speaking is really clear and lovely. You can understand every word. You know what she's saying. You understand the emotion behind the lines. Her facial expressions were wonderful. She had great, almost dynamics with emotion and with talking it. She didn't just speak it the whole way through monotonous. She really worked with the emotions behind it, and taking the strongest lines and giving it like a strong finish by raising volume and by using her facial expressions and the way she held herself to show the change of emotions throughout the scene. She made it look quite naturalistic. The only one feedback I'd give back, I say quite because of the one thing, she, I think, that or her director made the creative decision for her to stand still throughout the whole piece. And I think this does come from a position of power. She doesn't need to walk around angrily to give the power, and I think it really works for the character, especially, like, it's crazy that this female character in Grecian times has like this lovely monologue that's really powerful, and she really got the power behind it well. It's just that sometimes it looked a bit like she was glued to the spot. Like, it felt sometimes that she was standing there because she had to be stood there. And if that is a creative decision because she feels watched, or because she's in a trial, or because she's got guards like forcing her to be there, then I feel like that maybe needs to be a bit more obvious, so it doesn't look like she's forced to stand. Like, if she's forced to stand there, it looks like that, but not that she's making the decision to stay awkwardly glued to the floor. But that was some really positive feedback, but then just a little bit of, critical response. That's how it works. Okay, so that was week 5. Lovely. Baby sharing week.